Postponed the majority of tomorrow's fixtures to May 6th. And just 2 days ago, the general manager of the PSL, Derek Blackensee, didn't want to have the fixtures moved. In fact, Pitso Musiman and Polokwane City had been saying, look, move the fixtures, play them all at the same time. And he responded and said, not a chance. Day later, we hear that they've moved them. What do you make of all of this?
I think it's a good move in the spirit of fair play, like you say, because it does bring parity within the league. It gives everyone a chance to go into the last two games knowing exactly what they need to do in order to either save themselves or go on to fight for the title. And that's very important. I think if it stayed the way it was, like a team like Free State Stars would have had 2 games in hand, whereas the other teams in the relegation zone would have had 1 game left, and it would have made a big difference.
All right, so what do you make of this? I mean, let's go a little deeper into the title race. Do you think Chiefs still have a chance to defend their title?
I think I heard you saying that Sundowns have their fingers on it. I think they've actually got a firm hand on it, because going into the last 2 games, I mean, they've got points in hand. So it's really theirs to lose right now. Chiefs are not out of it. I think Sundowns still have SuperSport to play, so they've got a tough game. And then their final game, I think they go away to Maritzburg United. So they still have a lot to do to win the title, but it's firmly theirs to lose right now.
All right, so now here's a quick question now. With regards to the other top 4 teams, I mean, we're looking at the SuperSport United that are going to be playing as well just now, and as well as Wits. Do you reckon they're going to put in a bid to maybe come in second, or none of them seem to be contending for the title at this stage?
Wits are not, mathematically, they're not out of it. If results go their way, that's the only problem on their side. It's not in their hands. All they can really do now is win the remaining games and hope that other results go their way. But they're not entirely out of the title race, but Wits have already secured at least a top 3 finish. And so they'll obviously be hoping that Sundowns and Chiefs slip up in their remaining games.
Well, that would make it all the more interesting, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
I mean, they'd be coming out with the deep dark blue all of a sudden and then take it. And
coming the beginning of a season, with a new coach coming in, you would think over the season, they've adapted really well to the coach's philosophy, and they're playing really good football right now. I mean, we saw the other night they gave Chiefs a great run for the money. I think if they had to be a winner, they probably had the better chances. But obviously it was a draw, a fair result in the end. But they've really come good this season under the new coach.
Now, interestingly enough, talking about new coaches, we look at Orlando Pirates. They don't even feature in these kind of conversations these days. What happened?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation there, because they literally, with the schedule they had over the last year or so, it was always going to be difficult for them. All the traveling. They never had a rest at any point in the season. They played through the break last season, being in the Champions League, and they haven't recovered from that, I would say. A lot of people, they've had games in hand, and we all know the story with games in hand. They're not points in hand. You still have to play and win those games. Mm-hmm. And they just haven't been able to. I think they've just lost the legs towards the end, because it is a grueling schedule, traveling in Africa. Literally, at the time, Roger Dessau was saying, he didn't even unpack his bags, because they were coming into the country and going out of the country like every week. And I think it took its toll on them.
Do you think that's what's happening to Kaizer Chiefs, and how it is that the last couple of matches have played out?
It's definitely had an effect. Traveling is not as easy as people think. It's not like in Europe. I've heard a lot of people say, but the European teams do it.
Look, Real Madrid do it every other week. Bayern Munich,
you see,
Barcelona.
That's the difference, though. Like, traveling in Europe is a lot different to traveling in Africa. Traveling in Europe could be like taking a trip to Cape Town. For the European teams, it's like playing an away game, playing any other away game in their league, because they can travel in and out of Europe at ease. Whereas traveling in Africa, it sometimes becomes a week-long process, because you sometimes have to transit through Europe to get to certain countries in Africa. So it is a lot more grueling in that aspect. And so obviously it's a lot more taxing on the players as well.
You don't necessarily have like the same kind of air-conditioned bus that you would have had in Sandton.
Exactly.
And so
all those kind of things factor in, and the players definitely get tired. The technical stuff, whatever the case may be, it takes its toll. And you need, obviously, a really deep bench in order to compete in those instances.
Now, let's have a look-see at the bottom of the log. Right at the bottom, we've got the Golden Arrows on 16 points, on 21 points, right, in 16th place. Free State Stars just above them on 24, and Polokwane City on 27 with 28 games. What do you make of that? What's happening there? We had a couple of very interesting results very recently. And what do you make of that?
Yeah, no, Golden Arrows have done really well. They've won their last 2 games to bring themselves back in contention. At one point, people had completely written them off, but now they've literally given themselves a fighting chance. And so and that's also, I think, one of the reasons why they had to move the last 2 games, because now it's just going to make the last 2 games so much more interesting.
Now let's like Chippa United in a couple of seconds. If you can let us a little bit know about Chippa United back in the PSL mix. Is Mpengezi going to fire Heritage?
That's difficult to say. I mean, he hasn't promised to keep him, so anything can happen right now. You and I will just speculate all day, but chances are it's not going to happen, I would say.
Mark, thank you very much for your valued input. We really do appreciate having you here.
Sir, thank you very much.
Cheers. That was Mark Haskins, our hot seat soccer analyst, a man from the trenches, so to speak, who knows what it's like to put the ball in the back of the net when it matters most.